I gazed at my warped reflection in the silver spoon, my face twisting like a carnival mirror as Paige's words stung. Sacrifice? What do you know about it? You don't even have kids. I'm Harmony, and for 6 months I've eaten nothing but ramen to fund my niece's college. Nobody at this table knows. Pass the potatoes, I muttered, dodging her jab. Paige kept going. When's the last time you even went on a date? She fiddled with her flashy designer watch, a gift from Dwayne, husband number 2. You're almost 40, sis. Time's ticking. Around the giant dining table, forks scraped plates as everyone pretended not to hear our usual clash. Mom dabbed her lips with a napkin. Dad got real interested in his green beans. I'm happy with my life, I said softly, though it didn't feel true. My nonprofit work means something. Paige rolled her eyes. Sure, saving the world one project at a time. Some of us have real careers and families. She waved at her fancy chrome marble dining room. By the way, have you seen Oakley's new playroom? Right then, her 7-year-old zoomed in, clutching an iPad Pro. Mommy, can I show Aunt Harmony my gaming setup? Go ahead, sweetie, Paige said, then leaned in to whisper, it's the latest model. Dwayne spoils him, but he's earned it, reading at a 5th grade level. I nodded, my mind on the unpaid electricity bill for my tiny apartment, drained by Emma's tuition payments. Emma, Paige's eldest, caught my eye from across the table. At 18, she looked so much like her mother, but there was a gentleness in her features that Paige had lost somewhere between her first divorce and her second marriage. Aunt Harmony helped me with my English paper last week, Emma offered. She's really good at editing. That's nice, honey, Paige dismissed. But you should really be focusing on practical skills, like business or law. Something that actually pays. My mother finally spoke up. Paige has a point, dear. We worry about you, all alone in that tiny apartment. Teaching underprivileged kids to read is noble, but it doesn't buy a house, I finished for her. I know. Or attract a husband, Paige added with a smirk. I mean, what kind of man wants a woman who can barely support herself? I gripped my fork tighter, thinking about the second job I'd picked up tutoring after hours, about the spreadsheet on my laptop tracking every penny I'd managed to scrape together for Emma's education, about the letter from Harvard sitting in my email inbox, waiting to be printed and signed. I managed just fine, I said. Really? Paige leaned forward. Because I drove past your building last week. That neighborhood isn't exactly screaming, successful adult. More like, gave up on life. Emma's face flushed red. She knew what I'd given up, what I was still giving up. Paige, her father warned half-heartedly. That's enough. What? I'm concerned about my baby sister. She's not getting any younger. And let's be honest, she's never been exactly maternal material. Remember when she killed that houseplant I gave her? It was a plastic plant, I muttered. And you knew that when you gave it to me. The table erupted in laughter, except for Emma, who stared at her plate, her hands shaking slightly. Don't be so sensitive, Paige chided. We're just trying to help. Right, Mom? We just want you to be happy, dear, my mother sighed, like your sister. I looked around at my sister's perfect house, with its perfect furniture and perfectly miserable secrets, at my parents, who never saw past the surface, at Emma, who deserved so much better than all of this. I am happy, I said. And for the first time that evening, I meant it, because I knew something they didn't. In 6 months, Emma would be walking through Harvard Yard, her head held high, while Paige's carefully constructed world of appearances crumbled around her designer shoes. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't saying anything at all. More wine. Paige offered, already filling my glass without waiting for an answer. You look like you need it. Must be stressful, living paycheck to paycheck. I smiled and raised the glass. To family, I said. Emma caught my eye again and gave me the tiniest nod. Soon, I thought, soon they'd all know what real sacrifice looked like. But for now, I just took another bite of overcooked pot roast and let them think they knew me. Let them think they'd won. They had no idea what was coming. 6 months earlier, I was grading papers at my tiny kitchen table when my phone buzzed. Emma's text was simple. Can I come over, please? 20 minutes later, she sat across from me, clutching a stack of papers. Her eyes were red, and her hands trembled as she spread the documents across my scratched IKEA table. "I got in," she whispered. "Not just to one, to all of them." Her fingers traced over the letterheads: Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Brown. "Emma, that's incredible." I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "Mom won't help me," she said, her voice cracking. I told her about the acceptances, and she laughed. My heart sank. What exactly did she say? She said I deliberately betrayed her by applying to schools she didn't approve of. That I knew she wanted me to go to state school, where her friends' kids go, where she could show me off at local alumni events. Emma's shoulders shook. She said if I wanted to ruin my life with liberal arts dreams, I could pay for it myself. I stood up and put the kettle on, a habit I'd picked up from my mother, ironically, making tea for difficult conversations. "Did you show these to your dad?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. Emma's father had disappeared years ago, leaving nothing but a trail of unpaid child support. Mom said she won't even let him co-sign loans if he offers. Not that he would. Emma pulled out another paper, a financial aid letter. "I got some scholarships, but there's still a huge gap. Like, huge. I set 2 mugs of chamomile tea on the table and studied the numbers. My stomach clenched. The remaining cost per semester was more than I made in 3 months. "What about Dwayne?" I suggested. "He seems to throw money around pretty freely." Emma's laugh was bitter. Mom said, and I quote, "Dwayne's money is for Oakley's future." You had your chance to be reasonable. I watched my niece, this brilliant, determined young woman, crumple in on herself, and something inside me hardened into resolve. "Let me think about this," I said carefully. "There might be a way." Emma looked up sharply. "Aunt Harmony?" "No, I know you don't have money. Mom makes sure everyone knows that." I opened my laptop and pulled up my banking app. "I have some savings, and my credit is good." I could. Emma stood up so quickly her chair scraped against the floor. "I won't let you destroy yourself for me. I've seen your apartment. I know you're already struggling. Sit down." I waited until she did. "Do you know why I work at the nonprofit?" She shook her head. "Because every day, I get to help people who society has written off. People who just need one person to believe in them." I reached across the table and grabbed her hand. "You're not a lost cause, Emma. You're an investment." "Mom says your mother," I interrupted, "is afraid of anything she can't control, including you becoming more successful than she is." Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks. "I can't pay you back. Not for years. I don't want you to pay me back. I want you to succeed. To prove her wrong." I started typing numbers into a spreadsheet. "But you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't tell her. Don't tell anyone. Let her think you figured it out on your own." I looked up from the screen. "Can you do that?" Emma nodded slowly. "But why? Why help me in secret?" I thought about all the family dinners, all the snide comments, all the times Paige had made sure I knew I was less than her. Because sometimes, the best revenge is letting people believe they've won right until the moment they realize they've lost everything. 3 months later, I handed Emma an envelope containing the first semester's tuition payment. We stood in my apartment, surrounded by the moving boxes she'd secretly packed while Paige was at yoga. "I don't deserve this," she whispered, holding the envelope like it might disappear. "You deserve everything," I corrected her. "And more. How did you even get this much money?" I thought about my sold car, my emptied retirement account, the 3 extra tutoring clients I'd taken on. "Don't worry about that. Just promise me you'll work hard." Emma hugged me fiercely. "I will. I'll make you proud. You already have." I pulled back and wiped her tears. "Now go. Your mother thinks you're at the library." As Emma left, I sat down at my kitchen table and looked at my new budget. Ramen noodles, generic everything, no heat except when absolutely necessary. It would be a hard few years. But watching my sister's carefully constructed facade crack when she realized her daughter had outsmarted her, that would be priceless. I picked up my phone and typed out a message to my friend Evan at work, *, "It's done. First payment sent. * His reply came quickly. * You're either crazy or brilliant. Maybe both. * I smiled and wrote back, *Maybe. But crazy gets things done, asterisk. You look terrible, Evan said, dropping a coffee on my desk. When's the last time you slept? I glanced at the clock, 7:30 a.m. I'd been at the office since 5, catching up on grant proposals before my first tutoring session at 4 p.m. Sleep is for people who don't have tuition payments due, I mumbled, reaching for the coffee. Speaking of which, Evan pulled up a chair and lowered his voice. Did you see Paige's latest Facebook post? I shook my head. I'd muted my sister months ago, right after Emma left for college. He pulled out his phone and showed me, Paige, beaming in front of a sold sign, caption reading, asterisk just closed on our vacation home. So blessed to provide amazing opportunities for our little Prince Oakley. Hashtag blessed, hashtag successful mom, hashtag living my best life, asterisk. Guess who she tagged in the comments? Evan scrolled down. Asterisk, so sad some people will never know the joy of providing for their children. Right, sis? Asterisk, my stomach churned. She's trying to get a reaction. She's trying to hurt you, Evan corrected. And meanwhile, you're working yourself to death to put her daughter through Harvard. I opened my spreadsheet, the one tracking every payment, every extra job, every penny scraped together. 3 more semesters. I can do this. Harmony. Evan's voice was serious. You're not eating. Your clothes are hanging off you. And yesterday, I saw you calculating if you could sell your blood plasma. It's good money, I defended weakly. This is insane. He gestured at my desk, covered in tutoring schedules and consulting contracts. Let me help. Let us help. The office. We care about you. We see what you're doing, what you're sacrificing. I shook my head firmly. No, this stays private. Why? Because your sister's spreading rumors about how you're lazy and irresponsible with money? Because your parents believe her. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Asterisk saw Paige's new house. Maybe if you'd made better choices. Asterisk, I turned the phone face down. Emma's doing amazing. She made Dean's List her first semester. And you're killing yourself to keep her there. Evan leaned forward and pointed at my spreadsheet. I saw the total, Harmony, $120,000. That's not noble anymore. That's martyrdom. What would you have me do? Let Emma give up her dreams because her mother is a narcissist? No, he stood up. I'd have you let people who care about you help carry the load. I can't. You can't what? Accept help like you're teaching Emma to do. He walked to the door, then turned back. You know this is a war, right? You're just dropping bombs no one's seen yet. After he left, I opened Emma's latest email. She'd attached photos of her dorm room, her new friends, her first A-plus paper. She looked happy-free. My phone buzzed again. Another family group text, this time from Paige, asterisk having a small dinner party next week. Only successful people invited, so don't worry about it, sis. Asterisk, I started to type a response, then deleted it. Let her have her parties. Let her post her photos. Let her think she'd won. My office door opened again. This time, it was Maria from accounting. Hey, she said softly. We're taking up a collection for that after-school program you're always talking about. I knew there was no after-school program. I knew Evan had told them, but I also knew they were offering help in the only way I might accept it. That's really kind, I managed. We all believe in education here, she said meaningfully. In helping young people reach their potential, no matter what it takes. That night, I huddled in my chilly apartment, heat wasn't in my budget, and updated my spreadsheet. A new entry stopped me cold. Office collection, $6,000. Tears welled up as I read Evan's note. Asterisk, this isn't pity. You showed us what integrity means. Asterisk, my phone buzzed again. Emma's text. Asterisk, mom's bragging about her new house. Says I could have had a room if I picked family over rebellion. Asterisk, I typed back. How's that Shakespeare paper? Aced it, she replied. Professor thinks grad school's in my future. Go for it, I urged. But the cost. I'll handle that, I texted, sensing her worry through the screen. Aunt Harmony, trust me, I wrote. Some fights are worth every penny. I glanced around my bare apartment, the empty fridge, and the towering stack of tutoring materials. Emma's photo caught my eye, her smile radiant against Harvard Yard. Evan was right, this was a war. But wars aren't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet hustle, the unseen strength, the moment you let your enemy think they're winning, just before they fall. And Paige? She didn't see her collapse coming. During my lunch break, my phone pinged, an Instagram alert from Paige. Her post screamed, *living my best life in Barcelona. #blessed #naughty luxury travel. There she was, lounging by an infinity pool, designer shades on, champagne in hand. Some save for retirement. I save for memories. Evan peeked over in the break room. Unbelievable. Didn't she just get a vacation house? Dwayne's money, I muttered, scrolling. Mom's comment, so proud of my successful girl. Dad's, that's my princess. Paige's reply, thanks, Mom and Dad. Some of us know how to make you proud. I set my phone down and unwrapped my peanut butter sandwich, my lunch staple for months. My parents' rejection stung fresh. We can't help with grad school, Mom had said years ago. Paige needs us more. She has kids. Another buzz. Emma's text, see Mom's posts, hard to miss, I replied. She's burning my college fund on that trip. Found the empty account statements in her office. My hands shook as I typed. You okay? I'm fine, she answered. But Thanksgiving? I'm telling everyone about you, about everything. Emma, no, I have proof, she wrote. I've kept a journal. Every nasty comment, every manipulation, and I have the bank statements showing how she drained my account. Before I could respond, another message popped up. I also have something else to tell you. I got into a summer program at Harvard. Full scholarship this time. I did it on my own. Pride and relief flooded through me. That's amazing. There's more, she typed. I met someone. His name is Ezra. He's in my literature class. He knows everything about Mom, about you. He says I need to stop protecting her. Evan sat down across from me. Everything okay? You look pale. I showed him the messages. Smart girl, he said. The truth was going to come out eventually. But Thanksgiving? The whole family will be there. Exactly. He smiled grimly. Maximum impact. Your sister's been building her house of cards for years. Maybe it's time for a strong wind. My phone chimed with an email notification from Harvard. Congratulations on your outstanding academic performance. I read aloud, hands trembling. Emma made Dean's List again while her mother drinks champagne in Barcelona. Paid for with her college fund, Evan noted. I opened Instagram again. Paige had posted another photo, this time of her new kitchen remodel. Because every queen needs her castle. Sorry, not sorry for living my best life while others waste their money on noble causes. The comments poured in. You deserve it all, queen. Such an inspiration. #bossmom. Some people just don't understand success. Emma texted again. I'm bringing Ezra to Thanksgiving. And my journal. And the acceptance letter. And every bank statement. I'm done pretending. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Are you sure? More sure than I've ever been. Mom needs to know that money isn't everything. That what you did, what you sacrificed, that's real success. Evan read over my shoulder. She's right, you know. It'll destroy Paige. No, he corrected. It'll expose Paige. There's a difference. I thought about my sister's carefully curated life, built on appearances and other people's money, about my parents' blind devotion to her facade, about Emma watching it all, taking notes, waiting. My phone buzzed one final time. Emma had sent a photo, her and a kind-faced young man, both smiling in front of a library. This is Ezra. He says hi. And he says to tell you that sometimes the quiet ones win in the end. I saved the photo, then turned back to my sandwich. In 2 weeks, we'd all sit down for Thanksgiving dinner at Paige's showcase home. She'd brag about Barcelona, about Oakley's achievements, about her perfect life. And then her carefully constructed world would crumble, not with a bang, but with the quiet turning of journal pages, with bank statements and truth and a daughter's clear voice saying enough. I texted Emma back. Whatever you decide to do, I'm with you. Her response was immediate. I know you, always have been. That's why I'm doing this, because someone needs to show them what real love looks like, asterisk. I closed my eyes and saw it all, the coming storm, the shocked faces, the unraveling of years of lies. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid, because Emma was right. Sometimes, love doesn't look like infinity pools and designer sunglasses. Sometimes, it looks like peanut butter sandwiches and empty bank accounts and a quiet aunt who gave up everything for someone else's dreams. And sometimes, karma arrives wearing a Harvard sweatshirt, carrying a well-worn journal full of truth. Thanksgiving morning arrived with a thin layer of frost on my windshield and knots in my stomach. I'd chosen my plainest sweater and most sensible shoes. No point giving Paige extra ammunition today. The drive to her house felt longer than usual. My phone kept buzzing with family messages. Mom, don't forget, Paige is gluten-free now. Paige, asterisk starting dinner at 4 sharp. Try to be on time for once. Asterisk Dad, excited to see everyone. I pulled into the circular driveway behind a sleek black Tesla. Must be Ezra's car. Emma had mentioned his family had money, but unlike Paige, he never flaunted it. Before I could ring the doorbell, Emma threw the door open and pulled me into a fierce hug. You look tired, she whispered. Are you eating enough? Says the college student living on ramen, I deflected. A tall young man appeared behind her, dressed in a simple button-down shirt and carrying keys. You must be Aunt Harmony, he said, extending his hand. I'm Ezra. Emma's told me everything about you. Not everything, Emma corrected, patting her bag meaningfully. I caught a glimpse of a worn leather journal inside. Emma, Paige's voice rang out from the kitchen. Is that your aunt? Remind her to wipe her feet. We just had the floors redone. Emma rolled her eyes and led us inside. The house smelled of turkey and tension. My mother was arranging flowers in the dining room. Oh, Harmony, dear. That's an interesting sweater choice. Thanks, Mom. Emma, darling, Paige emerged from the kitchen, wearing a designer apron that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Aren't you going to introduce us to your friend? Boyfriend, Emma corrected firmly. This is Ezra. He's pre-law at Harvard. Paige's smile tightened. How nice. Though I always pictured you with someone more, she glanced at Ezra's simple clothes. Fashion forward. Not everyone measures worth by designer labels, Mom. My phone buzzed. Evan, asterisk backup support standing by. Let me know if you need anything, asterisk before I could reply. My father walked in with Oakley, both carrying iPads. Look what Grandpa got me, Oakley announced. It's the newest one. Another one? Emma muttered under her breath. Well, some children deserve rewards, Paige said pointedly, when they follow family expectations. I watched Emma's hand tighten around her bag. Ezra placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. The doorbell rang again, Dwayne, returning from his golf game. He barely acknowledged anyone before heading upstairs to change. Dinner in 20, Paige called out. Emma, help me in the kitchen. Harmony, just try not to touch anything expensive. As soon as Paige and Emma disappeared into the kitchen, my phone rang. It was Evan. I stepped onto the back patio to take the call. Everything okay? Just checking in. Also, remember that collection we took up? It's grown. We're up to $6,000 now. Tears pricked my eyes. Evan, the whole office believes in what you're doing and who you are, he said, his voice softening. Don't let them make you feel small today. Back inside, everyone was gathering around the dining table. Emma caught my eye as I sat down, then leaned close to whisper. I brought the acceptance letter and the journal. My heart raced. Are you sure about this? She squeezed my hand under the table. More sure than I've ever been. Paige swept in with the turkey, beaming at her perfect table setting. Before we begin, I'd just like to say how blessed I am to have such a successful life, my beautiful home, my perfect Oakley, my supportive husband. Your Barcelona trip, Emma added innocently. Yes, speaking of which, who wants to see pictures? As Paige pulled out her phone to show off her luxury vacation, I watched Emma exchange a look with Ezra. He nodded slightly. Mom, Emma said clearly, before we start, I have something to share with everyone. Paige waved her hand dismissively. After dinner, honey. Now, look at this infinity pool. No, Emma's voice was stronger now. I think everyone needs to hear this now. The room grew quiet. My mother set down her wine glass. My father stopped scrolling on his iPad. Emma, Paige's voice held a warning. This is not the time. Actually, Emma reached into her bag. This is exactly the time. I watched my niece pull out her journal, her hands steady, her eyes clear. Beside her, Ezra sat up straighter, ready to support her. Across the table, Paige's perfect smile began to crack. And I realized this wasn't just Emma's moment of truth. This was karma, served on a Thanksgiving platter with a side of long overdue justice. So, Paige's voice dripped with false sweetness. How's that state college treating you, Emma? Making lots of friends at the local campus. Emma placed her Harvard acceptance letter on the table. Actually, I've been at Harvard. Dean's List, both semesters. The silence was deafening. Paige's fork clattered against her plate. That's impossible, she sputtered. We discussed this. You couldn't afford. I couldn't, Emma agreed. But someone else could. She opened her journal. Someone who actually cares about my future. My mother's hand flew to her throat. Emma, dear, what are you saying? I'm saying that while Mom was posting about her Barcelona trip, paid for with my college fund. By the way, Emma's voice was steady, and Harmony was working 3 jobs to put me through Harvard. Paige's face went white. That's ridiculous. She can barely afford her rent. Exactly. Emma turned a page in her journal. Should I read what you said about that, Mom? Let's see. September 15th. Mom says Harmony is an embarrassment to the family, living in that cheap apartment, driving that old car. She looked up. The car she sold to pay for my textbooks. Emma, my father warned. That's enough. No, it's not. She continued reading. October 3rd, Mom told everyone at her dinner party that Aunt Harmony was probably going to end up homeless. They all laughed. Emma's voice cracked. While Aunt Harmony was skipping meals to save money for my tuition. Dwayne shifted uncomfortably. Paige, did you really spend Emma's college fund on that trip? Of course not. Paige reached for her wine glass. Emma's being dramatic. She's always been. I have the bank statements. Emma cut in, pulling out more papers. You transferred everything to your personal account the day after I told you about Harvard. My mother gasped. Paige, tell me you didn't. Oh, like you're any better? Emma flipped to another page. November 20th. Grandma says Aunt Harmony is just jealous of Mom's success, that she should have tried harder in life. She turned to her mother. Do you know what trying harder looks like? It looks like walking 5 miles to work because you can't afford gas. It looks like living without heat in winter. Oakley looked up from his iPad, confused. Mom, why are you crying? Because your sister is being very cruel, Paige said, her voice shaking, making up stories. They're not stories. Emma pulled out her phone. I have pictures of Aunt Harmony's empty fridge, of the pawn shop receipt when she sold her boyfriend's guitar, the only thing she had left of him, to pay for my midterms. The room spun as everyone turned to stare at me. I hadn't known Emma had documented so much. You. Paige pointed a trembling finger at me. You did this on purpose. Turned my daughter against me. No, Ezra spoke up for the first time. Your daughter just finally saw the truth. We all did. And who are you to judge my family? Paige snapped. I'm someone who knows what real love looks like, he replied calmly. It looks like sacrifice, like putting someone else's dreams before your own comfort. Emma wasn't done. She pulled out one final paper, a text message screenshot. Here's what finally made me decide to speak up. Mom's text from last week. Asterisk Emma deserves to struggle like the rest of us. It builds character. Asterisk. Paige's wine glass slipped from her hand, spreading red across the white tablecloth like blood. While you were building character in Barcelona, Emma's voice was ice, and Harmony's coworkers took up a collection to help with my tuition. People who barely know me showed more love than my own mother. Traitor, Paige whispered, her mascara running. You stole her from me. I finally found my voice. No, Paige. You pushed her away all by yourself. I gave her everything. You gave her things, I corrected. Designer clothes, expensive toys, but when she needed support, real support, you chose spite. I watched my dad stand, his face flushed. Now hold on, no, Dad, I said, shutting my journal. This time, you'll hear me out. Every harsh word, every trick, every lie. Isn't that what family dinners are for? Facing the truth. Paige shoved her chair back, its legs screeching on the hardwood. I won't stay here to be attacked in my own house. Then go, I replied calmly. Run, like you always do when the truth hits hard. Silence fell, broken only by Oakley's soft sobs and wine dripping from the tablecloth. My mom reached for Paige's hand. Sweetie, there must be some mistake. I stood, clutching my evidence. The only mistake, Mom, was thinking money could hide who you are. But I've learned something. I gave a sad smile. Sometimes, the richest people are the ones who give everything away. Paige's face twisted. You'll pay for this, she spat, yanking Oakley's arm. All of you will. As she stormed out, pulling her sobbing son along, I leaned to Emma and whispered, I brought the letter and journal. She smiled through her tears. I know, Dad. I know. The sound of Paige's heels clicking on hardwood echoed through the house as she stormed back in, Oakley still sniffling behind her. No, she seethed, you don't get to sit there looking righteous. Not in my house. Paige, Dwayne started, maybe we should shut up, she whirled on him. This is between me and my manipulative sister who turned my daughter against me. I stood up slowly. Is that what you think happened? I know exactly what happened, Paige spat. You were jealous. Always have been. Of my success, my family, my life. So you poisoned Emma's mind with your poverty porn story. Emma slammed her journal down. Want to hear more stories, Mom? How about March 12th? Mom told Aunt Harmony she should be sterilized since she'd make a terrible mother anyway. I was joking, Paige protested. April 23rd, Emma continued. Mom bought another designer bag while telling everyone Aunt Harmony probably sells drugs to afford food. That's enough, my father interrupted. No, I said quietly. Let's tell the whole truth. You want to know how I afforded Emma's tuition, Paige? I sold everything I owned. I worked 90-hour weeks. I lived on ramen and dollar store coffee. Nobody asked you to. I pawned Mom's wedding ring I cut in. The one she gave me when I turned 30. Said it would help me find a husband someday. I turned to our mother. It paid for Emma's chemistry textbooks. Mom's face crumpled. Harmony. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. You were too busy celebrating Paige's new kitchen remodel. You had no right, Paige screamed. She's my daughter. Then act like it, I shouted back, surprising everyone, including myself. While you were in Barcelona, I was helping her apply for scholarships. While you were buying Oakley his third iPad, I was skipping meals to afford her dorm deposit. Dwayne stood up. Paige, did you really spend Emma's college fund? Stay out of this. No, he said firmly. I want to know, because I've been writing checks for Oakley's future, thinking Emma was taken care of. Emma pulled out the bank statements. Want to see where it went, Dwayne? Designer clothes, spa weekends, first-class tickets to Europe. Paige lunged for the papers, but Ezra smoothly moved them out of reach. You ungrateful little, Paige started. Grateful. I stepped between them. She worked 2 campus jobs while maintaining Dean's List. She earned a summer research position. She did everything right, Paige. Everything you should have been proud of. I would have been proud if she'd followed my plans. Your plans? Emma laughed bitterly. You mean like State University, where you could show me off at alumni events, where I could join your sorority and marry someone you approved of? I wanted what was best for you. No, I said softly. You wanted what was best for your image. The room fell silent except for the sound of Paige's ragged breathing. You know what the worst part is? Emma's voice broke. I kept thinking you'd change. Every time Aunt Harmony helped me, I thought, Mom will come around. She'll see I'm doing well and be proud. Paige's mascara-stained face twisted. Proud of what? Of betraying your family. Family? I laughed. You want to talk about family, Paige? Let me tell you about family. Family is Emma calling me crying because you laughed at her Harvard acceptance letter. Family is me selling my car and walking 5 miles to work in the rain. Family is my coworkers, people who barely know Emma, pooling their money to help her succeed. I gave her everything. You gave her things, Emma corrected. Aunt Harmony gave me a future. My mother finally spoke up, her voice small. Why didn't you tell us you needed help, Harmony? Would you have believed me over your perfect daughter? Dad shifted uncomfortably. We could have what? I turned to him. Could have helped like you did when I wanted to go to grad school? Oh, wait. You gave that money to Paige for her first wedding instead. Paige's face went from rage to something else, fear, because for the first time, everyone was seeing the truth. The carefully constructed image was cracking, and behind it was nothing but spite and selfishness. Get out, she whispered. All of you, get out of my house. Gladly, Emma stood, gathering her papers. But first, let me read one last entry. The one that started it all. She opened the journal one final time. Mom says Emma deserves to struggle like the rest of us. She'll regret choosing her own path. Emma closed the journal and looked directly at Paige. You're right, Mom. I did choose my path. I chose truth over appearances, love over money, and Aunt Harmony over you. As we walked out, leaving Paige standing in her perfect house with her perfect lies crumbling around her, I heard Dwayne ask quietly, "What else have you been lying about?" The last thing I saw was Oakley tugging on his mother's designer dress, asking, "Mom, why does everyone look so sad?" But Paige had no answer. For once in her life, she had nothing left to say. The morning after Thanksgiving, I woke to sunlight streaming through my apartment windows and a note slipped under my door. Emma's handwriting, stayed at Ezra's last night. Couldn't face Mom. But I needed to tell you something. Thank you for saving my life. Love, Emma, my phone buzzed. Evan calling. Hey, I answered, voice still rough with sleep. Happy day after Thanksgiving. How are you holding up? Before I could answer, another call beeped through. My mother. I should take this, I told Evan. Want me to come over later? Maybe. Let me see how this goes. I switched calls. Hi, Mom. Harmony. Her voice was different, smaller somehow. I've been up all night thinking about everything. About you, about Emma, about… She took a shaky breath. About how wrong we were. I sat down on my worn couch, saying nothing. Your father and I, we enabled Paige, believed her lies because they were prettier than the truth. She paused. Dwayne left last night. Took Oakley to his mother's. Said he needed time to think about who he really married. Mom, no, let me finish. I found your old grad school application, the one you wanted us to help with. I wrote a check this morning. I know you don't need it anymore, but I need to do it. To start making things right. My phone buzzed with a text. Emma, Ezra's parents want to meet you. They say anyone who sacrifices everything for education deserves to be celebrated. Mom. I said gently, it was never about the money. I know that now. She was crying. It was about love. Real love. The kind Paige never understood. Another text came through, from my father. I'm sorry for everything, for not seeing you. Then another from Evan, office wants to throw Emma a celebration party. They say their investment in her future needs proper recognition. Harmony. Mom's voice pulled me back. Can we start over? Try to be the parents you deserved. Before I could answer, there was a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw Emma and Ezra holding coffee and breakfast bags. Mom, I need to go. But yes, we can try. I opened the door to Emma's smile, so much brighter now, so much freer. We brought real food, she announced, holding up the bags. No more ramen for you. Your mom just called me, I said. I know. She called me too. Emma set the food down. She told me about Dwayne leaving, about how everything's falling apart for Paige. And how do you feel about that? Emma exchanged a look with Ezra. Honestly? Relieved. Like maybe now she'll have to face who she really is. My phone kept buzzing with messages from coworkers, from family members, from people who had witnessed Paige's cruelty over the years and finally felt free to speak up. You know what's funny, Emma said, unpacking breakfast sandwiches. Mom always said success was about appearances, about having the biggest house, the most expensive things. She smiled. But real success is sitting in a tiny apartment with the people who truly love you, eating breakfast sandwiches, and knowing you did the right thing. Ezra raised his coffee cup. To doing the right thing. To truth, Emma added. To family, I finished. The real kind. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Paige. Asterisk, you'll regret this. All of it. Asterisk, I showed it to Emma, who took my phone and typed back, asterisk, no, mom. The only regret here is yours. For choosing pride over love, for missing out on knowing what real family looks like, asterisk. She handed my phone back just as another knock came at the door. This time, it was Evan, carrying more food and wearing a huge grin. The office wouldn't let me come empty-handed, he explained. They say proper revenge should be celebrated with proper breakfast. It wasn't revenge, I said softly. It was justice. Emma hugged me suddenly, fiercely. It was love, she whispered. The kind that changes lives. We all squeezed around my small table, Emma, Ezra, Evan, and me. The morning sun caught the Harvard pin on Emma's jacket, making it shine. Outside, the world was moving on. Paige was facing the consequences of her choices. My parents were beginning their long journey toward redemption. But here, in this moment, something else was happening, something beautiful and true and right. Next semester's tuition is covered, Emma announced. I got a full scholarship. They said my essay about you convinced them. What did you write? Evan asked. Emma smiled, tears in her eyes. The truth. About how sometimes the strongest people are the quietest. How real love doesn't need designer labels. How one person's sacrifice can change everything. She reached for my hand across the table. How my aunt taught me that revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about building your own, brick by brick, truth by truth, love by love. And sitting there, surrounded by the family we chose, I finally understood. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well, loving deeply, and letting the truth speak for itself.